Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lie.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
Let me say it again. What's good? What's good? What's good? Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Happy Thursday. How's everybody doing this evening? Week 2 going down. If you here, you highly favored. God smiled on you. He gave you another day to breathe on this planet. You're not underneath the ground. I think that's a victory. I think that's a cause for celebration. Thank you for being here. Shout outs to my poets, my writers, all the above. I got coach in the building, as you see. My thoughts and prayers go out to my brother Zay. He battling the flu right now. Rest up, bro. I hope you feel better soon. We'll see you next week. Hopefully you're in a better space. Shout outs to Rob. Shout outs to Sydney. Squish Arcana, what's going on, sir? Coach, what's going on, man? Good evening.
Yo, what up, man? Happy to be here. Shout outs to Zay, like you said, man. A lot of people out there suffering with the flu. I know I'm right now, the allergies kicking my butt, so I'm gonna be in and out, in and out. But other than that, man, happy to be here, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I like this topic. This is specifically going to pique a lot of interest with some folks, especially if you enjoy arguing and you have like a habit of getting into it with people online. This might be something you want to pay attention to. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up on the big screen. I'm gonna let this rock out, and we're gonna jump into it.
All right, let's do it.
Hold up, get this right.
One of the best ways to drain people's energy nowadays is via the internet. This woman is a astrophysicist. Actually, this is not how space works. Read a book. Now I just wait for the comments to come in. Hey, can you mansplain any louder? Yeah, sure. These are all different accounts that I have set up. The energy you get this way isn't quite as pure, but if you do enough of it, it'll fill you up. Shanghai sucked. Where was the Chinatown? Jason Mraz is just too weird for me. Jesus actually hates horses. Childhood obesity, LMFO. When they call you a dumbass, you know you've got them. They called me a dumbass. Women are getting too tall. Yeah. You can drain their energy via social media without having to even be near them. That is racist. You're correct. It is. Oh, yeah. 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 Oh, they hate me.
It's surprisingly simple to get total strangers completely furious with you.
They should get a life. One of the best ways to drain people's energy nowadays is via the internet. This one.
Yeah. First thing that came to my mind was how many times I got sucked into these conversations. Like I have flashbacks of them. Call them rage bait. Call them trolls. You know, you've seen them in the comment section here. You've seen them in the comment section on various platforms. They'll just say some real wild shit. It might be on topic. It might be off topic. And the whole point of it is just to piss you off and to have you going down a complete spiral. Your whole mood done change. All that. I've done the videos on this before. I never seen it this specific though. When you watch this, does it trigger you at all? Can you recall a time where you've been in a conversation or an interaction with somebody and you don't know how you ended up getting sucked into it, but you ended up getting sucked into it? Like, what was your initial take on this?
Yeah, Arcana. Yeah, it's definitely corny for reacting to it. Man, it's not surprising. I mean, antagonists. You got people out there that that do it in real life, and we talk about rage baiting all the time. So to actually see somebody take accountability of it, I think that might be more or less the surprising thing is somebody's actually out there saying, "I'm doing this to you." Other than that, yeah, I was, with the bots and everything else that's out there. I mean, I would think that everybody would understand that that's happening.
But people still fall for it. That's the part that really be tripping me out. Y'all know how the internet is. I know how it is. And I scroll quite often because I'm always looking for stories. And I'm also always looking for just the community's point of view on certain clips that they're commenting on, because I want to know how people really feel about some of these subjects. And I can see either the person is using a avatar of a cartoon or they don't have no picture at all. And they just say some of the wildest shit. And I'll be really wondering, how is it that we are so emotional? Or how do we find ourselves so enticed by the idea of going back and forth with someone who is intentionally going out of their way to sap you of your energy?
Yeah, I call it vulnerability because you got to let your guard down in order to exchange your energy with somebody you don't even know, that you can't even see. Like, not knowing is not a thing because you don't know everybody, right? So you'll engage in conversation and interaction, and that's the art of getting to know somebody. It's kind of like the dance or one-on-one sports sparring. You that's kind of the joy of it. But so for somebody you don't even know, and you allow them to control how you feel and your emotions, that just goes back down to the deeper roots and parts of insecurity. Because you're probably, I'm not saying you personally, but somebody's arguing with somebody through a keyboard and a screen. And then this person's on the other side's got 12 keyboards, and he's triggering as many people as he possibly can. You know what I mean? So it's just something to think about. And then absolutely, it has a lot to do with ego, because, and that's on both parts. The ego goes into you thinking somebody you don't know is being 100% genuine with you. That takes a lot of ego as well, and people don't talk about that part of it. The ego to just pour everything that you have into somebody through a keyboard and expect to receive the same in return. That's probably something more worth talking about than the reciprocation of it on the other side.
Yeah, let's break that one down for a second, because I can say, all right, I've seen some pretty racist comments. Oh, usual suspect. Oh, it's always those people. I've seen them, and I be really wanting to, but then I know, all right, what's the outcome here? I know if I respond, I'm responding because I'm upset with the comment. But then, like, the other rational part of my brain is saying, you're not going to get the conversation out of it that you expect. You know this. But more than likely, most people would rather just find entertainment with it. Very pointless to me. Why? Like, why is it so important for you to go back and forth with someone who is intentionally trying to trigger you? I didn't really, all right, let me put it this way. I didn't know that you could absorb someone's energy just by cussing them out, calling them the N-word and saying you bitch this and you hold this. I didn't know you could do that way. I know you can do it, but through means of maybe consuming something too negative, like staring at porn, or you're engaging with something that's consistently violent 24 hours a day. I get that part, but to trade words back and forth, I never really considered that.
That's a great point, man. A great piece of vulnerability, right? For you to say that you never considered that, because it's still an exchange of energy between people, especially with everybody being electromagnetic beings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're still exchanging energy no matter what. And I think that's the biggest part of where we are in society, is people just don't understand whether it's the negative energy, the positive energy. And you hear a lot of people say, well, I'm just going to reciprocate the energy. Well, technically, why are you even receiving that energy? Because that energy that you're receiving is bad energy. And if you was preserving your energy, or you thought about the type of energy that you tried to manifest, you wouldn't try to reciprocate anything. You know what I mean? Because you're still lowering yourself to a lower frequency or vibe by trying to reciprocate something that you should have never been receiving to begin with. So that's why I say it's interesting that you say that, because that's the one thing we should be aware of, is the type of energy that people, are drawing and are distributing, and what they're looking for in return. And you always see it And so that's what the one thing you can see now with it being online. It, it depends on, now you break it down generationally, the demographic, as far as for how that energy is being transcribed. Is it in slang? Is it in layman's terms? Depending on how it's coming across against you, is it being marketed? You know what I'm saying? Is it how it's just being telegraphically described to you? You can still observe the energy. It just depends on what you're looking for. And a lot of times people just aren't looking for it. But you should be observant, because now you're, quote unquote, trying to exchange certain energies with different people. So you definitely got to be observant about the type of energy that people are displaying to you and what you're receiving.
As much as the saying goes, as sticks and stones may break your bones, but words never hurt you, that couldn't have been further from the truth.
Biggest lie ever told.
I don't know who came up with that. They need to be sued. Yeah, because people are sensitive. And now that I really think about it,
you don't think they should be?
I mean, it I guess it depends. Depends on what it is.
You say it depends on what it is. So if you say you like positivity and positive affirmations and those type of things, and you express that to the people that's in your circle and how they engage with you, and if they don't necessarily engage or find a way to convey those things to you, you don't think it's important to kind of cut that off and disconnect it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we're on the same page.
Yeah. You're going to get negative and positive energy one way or another. It's unavoidable. It's all in how you filter it. So what you're trying to do is protect yourself as much as possible and limit those problems. Now we're opening up a different dialogue. Now we're talking about, all right, we got adults and children with multiple devices at home or in a facility, multitasking, having conversations with thousands of people. We don't know. All we know is, man, I'm getting tired of these bots. Damn, why I keep seeing these bots on my page, these porn bots, these rage baiters, these racist people hiding behind this and hiding behind that. But that's not the only form of it. But then also, you're not like, I just had to acknowledge the fact that I didn't realize that even just me having a conversation or entertaining it was going to affect me too. It's all in how you facilitate and how you filter it. So, I mean, I see them. I'm not answering them. I'm scrolling past them. I'm blocking them. I'm muting them. I'm not about to listen to that. I already know you're a grown ass man child or whoever you are identifying as. I'm not responding to that. But then you can ignore that. But then you'll turn on something. You'll scroll on Twitter or something. And then you'll start watching something that is just as toxic as it would have been if you would have been arguing with the person. So now what? Do you even think that people acknowledge or know that this is happening? That there are people that are intentionally doing things to get under their skin so that they can get the energy up off of them to get that high. What I don't know, like I don't even understand. Like, what do you get out of that shit? What's the point? I mean, all right, we say there's ego and things of that nature in it on both sides, but for the person who is just targeting people, you're going into a all black community based platform to piss people off, or you're black going into this or whatever. What is the goal? What is the objective? What do you get out of that?
Are you being honest, or you just performing for the show right now? I'm just because you would say they get the same thing that people get out of likes, clicks, and everything else. It's just a different demographic. So I mean, they get the same thing, that dopamine, that hit. You know what I mean? They get the same thing as everybody else getting. It's just in a different format. And that's what I think that the online realm is so crazy, is because the genres are so up close and in your face versus how different genres of things back in the days. If you wasn't into it, you just didn't know about it. But now, so let's take music for example. You can scroll through a category. You got hip hop, R&B, country, whatever the case may be. You pivot and talk to somebody else online. They talking about porn. You got different categories of porn, whatever the case may be. So as in everything else, you got different categories and sliders. You're getting a feeling of some type of sensation off of it. So for you to say you can't understand that would be the closed-minded piece. Because if you just look at it and think about everything is just, in categories, and people, and everything is just subjects, right? So everything's online versus back in the day, you had an encyclopedia on the shelf. You might have had E through A, and somebody else might have had L through K. You know what I'm saying? And then all y'all together form Voltron, and y'all had a whole set of encyclopedias. Versus now, you can just go online and look up whatever the hell it is you want to and access it. You can get a video to it. You can get whatever it is that you want to it, and even subscribe to it as well. So I just, again, being open-minded, you just got to think about 2026. This ain't 1986, 96, 2006. According to the Jetsons, we're supposed to be in flying cars. So everything that's happening right now, quote unquote, should be happening, with the exception of the flying cars. So, I mean, the sky's the limit, man. However you want to get it, you can get it. And I think online is how it's almost like the drugs and the crack era. Right now, you're online, you can access it as much as you want. It's free. But eventually, when Neuralink and all these other things come online, you're going to have to start, in that social credit score, you're going to have to start finding another source of income or another source of monetization to pay for these type of things. And I think that's what we're in right now, is the ways everybody's trying to figure out how to monetize their future. And that's why I think everything's accessible. But I think in a couple of years, everything will start to be restricted and cut down, because in order to get you addicted and to want to be able to have access to everything, we got to give you everything. And then we have to restrict it from you.
Popular, unpopular opinion: the internet is the new crack. I think the internet is the new drug.
The internet's weed, what the old people used to call the gateway drug.
Right. Nobody can live without it.
Right. And if you want to get higher or you want to get more access, you need a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? You want to do more, contribute more, do more. But the basic, it just gets you what you need to survive. But if you want more, you're going to have to find a way to monetize, give up some secrets, give up something to draw people to value into you as an individual. And that's what I think the problem is going into, is it's going to, and this is when we start talking about small businesses and everything, is being a brand. You as an individual, you being online, you're going to have to draw some type of value to you. Or you probably won't even have an existence online in the future.
So is it likely that these grown men and women are actually making some nice money off of really honestly just trolling people? They have a market for everything, right? Everything's a fetish.
Yeah, if not necessarily a fetish, but like you said, a market. It's definitely a market for everything.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I said fetish is because I said I can't understand it because I have interest. I don't get an orgasm off of pissing people off though, but that's just me. That might work for some people. I never really thought about it. I'm not.
Remember, everything's a stage, bro. You know what I mean? Everybody's performing. The moment you hit live, everybody's performing. Whether you believe into it, you don't believe into it, your job is to get people to keep coming back for more. You know what I mean? So you went from the street to the block to now you're actually doing it live in people's faces. And what are you going to do today that's going to bring somebody back tomorrow to invest into what you're doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, it would be nice if we could have disagreements and conversations about things that matter without entertaining people or things that go against our whole purpose. Like, it would be so much easier if we could just talk with folks who actually want to expel some wisdom instead of taking 5-10 minutes out of your day to argue with a person who is not even real. They just laughing at you. Like literally, you are on your phone, you screaming, you got all the exclamation marks, you capitalize your words, you screaming and yelling, you threatening the person. The whole time they laughing at you from wherever the hell they are, Istanbul, I don't know. They just chopping it up with their friends and all type of shit.
They ain't in Turkey doing that, dog. In Turkey, they're doing that new hair thing that you can get hair on top of your head. You get them waves. You walk around looking like Nori. He got braids and shit. He was bald for like 20 years. Now he got braids. But yeah.
Yo, that shit crazy, man. Energy stealing is real.
Yeah, man. So to break it down to layman's terms, so they talk about energy stealing, and that's why they tell you to protect your energy, especially if you're talking to somebody who's trying to trauma dump on you, or they're trying to do those type of things. You know, let's just keep it, down in layman's terms. So if somebody is, they tell you to protect your energy. People who never have a good day, they always have a bad day. They always complain about stuff, and every time they come around you, they just want to complain, and they use you to just dump all of that negativity on you. That's the same concept, not just as far as for having a bunch of consoles set up and then you stealing people's energy by tapping into them and giving them negative sources. But you got to be wary of that as well, man, because that's another way of stealing your energy. And then you self-sabotaging, always telling yourself that you're not good enough, that you can't do enough things to be successful in those type of things. And then your negative energy goes around with you self-sabotaging. If you got kids, family, and you start to be that black hole or that negative pool that's inside a circle or an environment, it could be a team or anything like that. So that's why you got to be, cognizant of self-sabotaging as well, because that's another way of doing that. But people don't talk about it and people don't identify with it because that also goes into accountability.
So these people are pretty much energy vampires.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what they call them, as vampires. So because what they say is they actually take the energy. It's not because of the sun or anything like that. It's the actual energy that you have within yourself. So yeah.
Moving forward, if you see these type of posts or you see them within the comment section, don't entertain them. It's not even just entertaining them. It's you're trying to disarm them as much as possible. I don't want to carry that back into my place of peace, and then I'm snapping on other people because somebody made me upset. Like that goes for your friends, your family, co-workers, all that. You really do have to guard that.
Yeah, it goes back to what we always talk about, man. Boundaries. You got to establish those boundaries. You know what I mean? And the most important thing is, I think people establish boundaries for other people and how they engage, but you have to also establish boundaries for yourself and how you interact and engage with other people. So that way, you know, if that type of stuff is coming up, that passive aggressive, that avoidance aggressive, there's different types of aggressions. Everything's been labeled so many different things out there nowadays. So you just have to figure out what works for you and then what's affecting your energy. So once you figure that out, how it may negatively affect you, then you just adjust accordingly. You know what I mean? And it's what happens is people just become, they don't want to be that person. So they'll endure everybody else's pain and everybody else's processes and traumas that they're going through, go home and try to process it themselves. And then they find themselves just in a bad place, in a bad space. When in actuality, if you just reject that from the beginning, then you don't have to worry about it. Because it's not your responsibility to take on somebody else's traumas. You know, every time we interact with somebody, it's your responsibility to make sure you take care of yourself. And it's that other person's individual responsibility to make sure they're taking care of themselves. Now, you can share and exchange, but you shouldn't be dumping on anybody. You know what I mean? So, you know, seeking ways to make yourself better, not looking for an excuse or an advantage, because everybody can't take on everybody else's responsibilities, but they can help and offer, you know, some tools and some resources along the way.
Displaced aggression. You have a select group of people. They don't know what to do with their self. They go to the internet to get that off their chest. How? I guess it varies. It's no different than somebody that you grew up with and things are about to change. The seasons, they are arriving on both sides. You're in winter, they're in spring, and you are about to be in disagreement with what they're doing and vice versa. They start to lash out on you. It has nothing to do with you. It's the fact that some shifts are happening, and now both of you have to make a decision. Do y'all stay the same course? You branch off in order for you to preserve yourself and for them to do whatever it is they got to do with their stuff. Sometimes they try to anchor you down. I'm not saying everybody, but there's people that will try to keep you in that same spot with them because they don't know what to do with theirs. You're figuring out yours, they're not figuring out theirs. Some folks just get online, and not even just online, they come around and that's all they know how to do. Sad, but it's true.
No, yeah, definitely, man. It's a lot of people out there that are miserable and unhappy, and they just want to see drama in other people's lives. And that way they can go home and feel better about themselves.
And you got to recognize it. Let me ask you this. Is it easy to see it in a person that you're close to versus somebody that you are observing online on social media?
I don't think you can separate the two, because what happens is now you're starting to think emotionally because you just explained the person next to you versus somebody online. So now you're distinguishing the difference between the two people, because what you're looking for is the characteristics, not the location or the locality, right? The proximity that they're close to you. You're looking at the behavior patterns, you're looking at the things that they're doing, and you're looking at how it affects you. And then you're ultimately looking at how it makes you feel, right? Because if you're on a certain trajectory that you're trying to do certain things, the people around you are going to make you feel a certain way. They're going to make you pivot a certain way. When I move, you move just like that, right? So that's how it goes, man. So if you got people around you, you got to watch out for. If you into dancing and you into doing those type of things, the fluidity, it won't happen. Now you stepping on toes. You know what I mean? You looking down. I'm leading. You leading. Who's leading? There's no natural flow and essence in it. No fluidity. So if you're looking at everybody the same, and then like I always say, is you take the emotion out of it, and then you're just looking for the tangible things that you want out of the people that you respect and out of the people that respect and love you. They're going to give you what you need to be the best version of you because they know you. They know what you need, right? You're not selling yourself to somebody else. So that's why I say you have to separate the two. I don't think the two go together. You can't coexist with the two.
Is it from an emotional state, or is it just all right? It's not about identifying traits that you experienced from someone prior and you're trying to see if they have it. It's more or less, am I dealing with the guy with multiple computers and multiple devices trying to drain me of my life force? Is this what this person is doing with this text message? Is that what this person is doing with that email? Are they still separate? Because if you got somebody that you know is known for trauma dumping, is that really different than someone who is saying, "Hey, nigger, you get out of my land," and blah blah blah? Is it any different?
I couldn't tell you that because you have to ask the person that it's affecting, because I would say that the actions aren't any different. But if you're asking how the feel is any different, because it goes back to that proximity thing, right? I know you, we're close, but I would say the actions aren't any different because they're both taxing, they're both stressing you out, they're both putting you through certain things. But somebody else would probably say, well, no, if that's my homeboy or my homegirl, I would allow that. But then because you allowed it, does that make it right? Because it still puts you emotionally in a certain position or stressed out situation, right? It still affects you a certain way. So again, it just goes back to, how it affects you. Are you still able to complete certain things? Is it putting you in a stressed out environment? Is it something that you can deal without? It just goes back to the individual. And then it's about the communication, because are you communicating with that person and say, hey, look, what you're doing right now is triggering me. You're bullying me. People may laugh at that, but that's the new current words. So when you're using the current words and terms, we know how it is when it goes to paperwork and it goes to reporting certain things. You got to use certain key words so that way you can be covered and they can be covered. The same way if you was in a situation that somebody broke into your home, you got to use your weapon a certain way in order to be covered. All that stuff is the same. You know what I mean? So just you got to know the game so that way you can know how to operate and maneuver.
If you never heard of this before, this is your first time ever being introduced to the fact that there are people behind the screen. They're getting paid
to trigger you.
To trigger you economically and spiritually. How do you respond to that? This is your first time ever even hearing of this as a creator or a lover of content. Somebody says, hey, this is what you've been dealing with for the last 14 years, 10 years. How do you respond to that? Like for me, if someone told me that today, I never knew about it. What are you talking about? What do you mean somebody's taking energy from me? Like they got some type of machine or some type of device that absorbs my essence as I am like in the screen. What are you talking about?
Yeah, now you're just talking about maturity level, education level, and all that kind of stuff. You can educate people, do a one-on-one. You know what I mean? It just depends on how much they care, they're interested into it. But yeah, those things all start to be subjective because it's all about people learning and if they're open-minded and all that kinds of stuff, and if it's even worth having a conversation. But if somebody's open-minded to it, then you can find a way to convey that message, just like you do everything else in life. So, but somebody has to be open to it, man. And if they're not open to it, then you just explain it to you meet them where they're at, right? You don't try to get them to meet you where you're at. If you're more knowledgeable, you're more experienced, then you meet them where they are, and then you try to break it down, and then just give it to them in small pieces, and then you set up a program, if they're interested and they want to learn more, you're hungry for knowledge, here it is, eat it. Give them a little bit more, just feed them, and you take it as they can, as they can process it. Everybody don't want to process it, because the word we haven't said was conspiracy theory, because that's the next thing to happen, right? Is somebody call you conspiracy theorist. Oh, you think this or you think that, or they're not willing to look at certain facts, whatever the case may be. We know how it is, because you start talking about transferring the energy and all that kind of stuff. They might call you earthy, or whatever the current verbiage or terminology is, man. I can't think of everything right now, but there's a word out there for everything. So as long as you can explain it and you can convey your message, I think that's all you need.
I agree with what Switch Arcana just said. You get older, you meet different people. I personally and externally have observed folks that dealt with familiar spirits. They have similar traits. You have to break that cycle within yourself. But if you don't, you just repeat the cycle over and over and over again. Having a heart and heart makes it extremely difficult to have that type of conversation. The one that you're speaking on, if they ain't open to it and they close-minded, it's going to take longer. I don't know if people are willing to go the lengths that's required to break through to people like that. But the one-on-ones help. It makes it easier. Some folks are more echo chamber based. They operate and function better under a group. You take them away from the group and that group mindset, you might have a better chance at getting your points across. I think what I'm trying to put out there is these things exist. They're real, and you see it. It's like I've watched and I read comments. Y'all be ready to crash out, find niggas' IP addresses, and like they be really pissed off at these folks. And it's like, bro, they just accomplished their goal. Whoever it is, they did exactly what they need to do. Now your day is ruined.
Yeah, the energy transformation is real, but it just goes back to what people are primed and what they want to hear, man. You know what I mean? And it depends on where their energy level is at. Because like you just said about crashing out, I think a lot of people are just already on the verge of, potentially crashing out. It may take one or two things to push them to the edge. But the problem is that's been worn as a badge of honor for so long. I'm keeping it real. I'm real. The whole time, like I told you before, people be lying about who they are and who they represent. But the manifestation of saying I'm real by saying it out loud, that's who they think they are. Whoever it is they projecting themselves to be. So if you're projecting yourself to be a certain way, then what do you think the type of energy you're gonna get? You know what I mean? And that's why you got so many people dying at such a young, early age. On not necessarily finding the jobs that they want, not being successful in the fields that they're in. Because if you know that shit ain't working out for you, and you keep telling yourself, "I'm just keeping it real. I'm real. I'm real." Those are words of affirmation. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's convincing you to still believe in what you're doing, and you're literally not being successful at it, but you keep saying, "I'm keeping it real and I'm being real." So you're giving yourself positive affirmations, but you're not actually seeing the results of what you're doing. Those are real results, just not necessarily the actual results from telling yourself how real you are, and the words that we all know that keeping it real goes wrong. You know what I mean? So, and people still are projecting themselves to be those type of ways, man. So as long as people do that and expecting a different result, yeah, we're gonna be in a world of hurt, man.
Words, the power of the tongue brings life and death. You best believe it. And I curse. I try not to curse so much. Sometimes I can't help it, especially depending on what it is we're talking about. But you got to be very careful. Not just what you put out there in the atmosphere, but what you speak on yourself. Specifically what you speak on yourself. Oh, man. You say you lonely, you say you depressed, you say, keep on. You're amplifying your own problems. It's enough that the world does it. You don't need to be your own enemy too. So I try my best not to say anything negative towards myself. And I'm trying to be more cautious of what I consume, knowing what it can do to you, whether it's a video or it's a post. Oh, I see the caption. Let me scroll past that shit before I get sucked into it. Oh, I see that comment. Warning. Let me go past it before I start opening up more comments. Then I see more people arguing under. Let me get out of here. Let me slide left. Let me scroll right. Nope. We got to be more proactive in what we are consuming. And you got to be more proactive with what type of conversations you are having. Are they meaningful? Well, they're going to be meaningful either way. It might not be in the outcomes you want, but they're still. You made me really think about that the other day with the advancement shit. Yeah, you can advance being negative too. How that looks to me might not look the same way to you or the next person, but yeah. So like that's all I want to say about that. Anything we can do to progress now that we see and we know what is happening here. This is documented for the viewers here and whoever might watch later on. This exists. It's real. We've been duped. We've all been guilty of it to some extent. But now we know what's going on. We don't have to keep on falling for it anymore. Now what do we do moving forward?
Man, it's easier said than done, right? Because this is where the hardest part comes into play. Is people already know who those people are that suck the life out of the room, the negativity. They always come with the negativity. The people that are the fun of the party, the life of the party, without having to have a drink, a smoke, and those type of things. They just get that bubbly personality. You just got to learn how to incorporate those things into your personality, into your life. If it's uncomfortable, that means you're growing. And that's what you should be searching for. You shouldn't be searching for comfortability. And then if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong fucking room. Find a room where you can learn from other people in that room. In those ways, you'll stay uncomfortable, but you'll also feel the pleasure in the growth. You'll find the pleasure in the learning And then you'll start to figure out the yearning to learn and to be around people with positive energy, with growth and development, those type of things. So, just change your environment, man. Be open to change. It's 2026. Everything this year is supposed to be about learning and experiencing more. So this is supposed to be the year you go and get it. So let's do
it. Yeah. Stay out those chats. Stay away from them arguments. Your triggers. You know what gets you pissed off. You know what's going to turn your face sour and all that. Why would you even bother? Don't even entertain it. Take all that energy that you're trying to disperse and put it somewhere where it's going to give you better results, positive results, ones that make you happier. Outside of that, y'all, I want to say y'all weird as hell for doing that type of shit though. That's crazy. I couldn't have 20 different devices in front of me, bro, and just be typing on all of them different shit. That got to be exhausting.
And everybody ain't like you. They can get the pen and put some, pen and pad, kick some ass, and drop some knowledge on it. So everybody got their things, man. You know what I'm saying?
It's all right. It's like, all right, I'm just gonna say this, bro.
Go ahead.
So you're professionally taking the energy from people. Doesn't that require you to pour out energy? So the man had he had like 8 different little drinks running.
And he was in a bathrobe. That wasn't a lot of energy, brother. In a dark room. Looked like he might have put 25% energy into that and got 125 on the return. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some dark forces, man.
Yeah. I guess I'm just thinking about all that typing and shit. Like, you gotta be creative. You gotta figure out what to say over here, and then you gotta go over
GPT,
here.
Man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
They didn't give up the whole story. They just gave up a piece of the story, but let the rest up for imagination. It ain't that hard, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Shout outs. Shout outs. Y'all keep doing y'all, man. Whatever. You ain't gonna get me with that shit.
For sure.
But shout outs to you, coach. Shout outs to Arcana and everybody who pulled up tonight. This was a goodie. Let's do better this year. We got everything we need right at our disposal. Let's keep the momentum going. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. Tomorrow, the open mic. No podcast tomorrow. We're doing the open mic tomorrow night. So if you into the spoken, tap in. Because
send the link out so I can share it, man.
That's a bet. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. Do me a solid before y'all go.
What's the goddamn button?
Peace.